Ciao friends! What are the best practices for using key filters in DAX in less than 5 minutes? So key filters is a special function that you can use in the filters in Calculate when you don't want to override the existing filters in the filter context. Now, the feature is very helpful, but sometimes it could be complex to understand. And so best practices means what is the quick decision you can make depending on the filter. So this topic is described in more details in this article. So I just want to give you the best practices in less than now 4 minutes. So first of all, the problem is the following. A filter in Calculate is the predicate, is the logical condition that filters one or more columns in Calculate. Now, when you write this, like for example, product color equal red, the default behavior is that any existing filter over the color column in the product table is removed and replaced by color red. So in this case, because the report shows for each row a color and this color KPI, which is the measure I have, the idea is that the division is between the value of the sales amount of the current color and the value of the red color that is retrieved in the denominator part of my function. Let's take a look at this. So in this case, because the filter context has the color green or the color yellow, we want to replace it with the color red, exactly like we wrote here. But what happens if we don't want to do that? Well, in that case, we should use key filters. But in this case, key filters would be a wrong idea, because if I use key filters, now the filter over color is kept in the filter context, which means that every time you have a different color, every time you have, for example, I don't know, or purple in this case, now in the filter context here, you have to filter. You have the purple and you have the red. And because you have these two filters and no product exists in two filters, you see blank, you don't see anything. And you see that the only time you see a value here is when you divide red by red. But when you divide the purple by red and purple, there are no products for red and purple. So that's how it works. So key filters is needed when you don't want to remove the existing filter. So the right thing to do in this case is to not include key filter for the purpose of this measure, but in many other cases, this is what you want to do. For example, let's take a look at another example. In this case, I had trendy colors, and let's start from a different example, which is this one of the expensive sales. If I look at the expensive sales definition, I want to use key filters because key filters does not remove the filter I applied, for example, over the net price. Think about this. Expensive sales is filtering the column net price greater than 500. But if I override the filter, I ignore the slider, the filter that the user applied to the filter context. So the best practice is that if I have a filter over a range, like for example in this case, net price greater than 500, I want to use key filters. Why? Because my range will override an existing selection, and what we want to do in this case is the intersection between the existing selection and the new selection, the new range of data that we have. So you can see that a best practice is probably, okay, if I have a filter that filters more than one values, then I want to use key filters because I don't want to ignore the existing other filter over the same column. Like in this case, net price, I don't want to override net price. Similarly, we don't want to override the selection of multiple colors. I want to use the trendy colors to do a ratio between the currently trendy colors in the existing filter, because the trendy colors in my example here in the trendy colors KPI here, percentage of trendy colors, where is, I didn't find it, okay, here we go, is a selection of 3 colors, blue, red, and white. So blue, red, and white are a selection of multiple colors. So only one column, one value, don't use key filters. When you have multiple values, ranges, list of values, or you have multiple columns in the filter, then you always want to filter everything. For example, you want to use key filter. The last example is this one, year and month. Or you have an expression that multiplies quantity and net price. In those cases, even if there is only one value assigned in one tuple assigned, in reality, because it is a combination of different columns, you always want to use key filters. And you will see that in this case, the right number, we want to see only the period of the new year, which is across end of 2018 and 2019, if we don't use key filter, we overwrite the selection of the year. What we want to do is want to intersect the year because we want to see the new year 2018 season, which is across 2018 and 2019. This is just another example. The best practice is what I said before, only one value, don't use key filters, more value, use key filters.